Here. Maybe you just got out. Maybe you're still in it, trying to figure out if what you're experiencing is normal. Maybe it's been years and you're still trying to make sense of who you became after everything fell apart. Stay with me. Because what I'm about to explain might completely change how you see what's happening to you. Let's talk about what toxic relationships actually do to your brain. Not just your feelings. Your actual brain, when you're dealing with someone who's manipulative, emotionally abusive, constantly unpredictable, your nervous system doesn't treat this like a rough patch. It treats it like danger. Real, physical danger. Studies have shown that the chronic stress from this kind of relationship spikes your cortisol levels, your stress hormone, to the same levels you'd see in someone living in a literal war zone. Your brain cannot tell the difference between someone gaslighting you and an actual threat to your survival. It registers the same way, and this is where people don't realize what's happening. You ever see someone walk out of a toxic relationship and they're just different? Not broken. Not who they used to be. Something else entirely. If you've been through it, or you're in it right now, there's something happening inside you that you can't see yet. But it's there. And it's not what you think. Most of us know what toxic relationships do on the surface. The fights. The mind games. The feeling like you're losing your mind. But what's actually happening in your brain during all of this? That's something we've only recently started to understand. And it explains why some people come out of these situations completely transformed, while others stay stuck for years. If you're watching this, something brought you, you start having anxiety. Your sleep gets destroyed. You can't focus. You're exhausted all the time. Some people develop headaches that won't go away, stomach issues, their immune system just crashes. Your body is trying to tell you something, but because it's not a visible wound, we ignore it. We think we're overreacting. We think we're too sensitive, but researchers have found that people in toxic relationships often develop symptoms identical to PTSD. Not similar. Identical. This isn't weakness. This is your brain doing exactly what it's designed to do. It's trying to keep you alive, but here's where it gets really interesting. What happens after you leave? Because for decades, we studied trauma by looking at how people break. PTSD. Depression. Anxiety disorders. All the ways humans fall apart under pressure, but only recently did researchers start asking a different question. What about the people who don't just survive, but somehow come out stronger, not the same? Not back to normal. Something more. There's a term for this. Post-traumatic growth. And before you roll your eyes thinking this is some everything happens for a reason, toxic positivity garbage, hear me out. Because this isn't about pretending the pain didn't happen. It's about something much stranger. And much more real. Researchers found that somewhere between half to two-thirds of people who go through serious trauma don't just recover. They transform, and this isn't resilience. Resilience is bouncing back, returning to who you were before. What we're talking about here is different. This is when someone breaks you down so completely that your entire understanding of the world just shatters. Every belief you had about love, trust, safety, relationships, gone. And you're sitting there in the wreckage trying to figure out who you even are anymore. That moment, as painful as it is, that's when something unexpected can happen. You get to rebuild from scratch. And sometimes, not always, but sometimes, what you build is actually better than what got destroyed. Here's the part that might give you hope if you're feeling shattered right now. The people who transform the most? They're usually the ones who got hit the hardest. The ones who couldn't just brush it off and move on. The ones who had everything they believed completely dismantled. If you barely felt affected, you probably won't change much. Because real transformation, the kind that rewires your brain and shifts who you are at your core, it requires being broken first. And if that's where you are right now, sitting in pieces wondering if you'll ever feel normal again, you're actually in the most powerful position you've ever been in. You just can't see it yet. Now, before you think I'm romanticizing suffering, let me be very clear. Post-traumatic growth does not erase the pain. Growth and suffering exist at the same time. They're not opposites. You can carry trauma and experience profound change simultaneously. Some people develop PTSD and post-traumatic growth together. Your brain holds both truths, this destroyed me and this changed me in ways that matter, both are real. Both are valid. The research identifies 5 specific areas where this growth shows up. First, you start appreciating life differently. Small things hit different when you've survived someone trying to destroy you. A quiet morning. A friend who actually listens. Peace. These things become sacred in a way they never were before. Second, your relationships completely transform. You can't do surface-level connections anymore. You become physically allergic to fake people, to shallow conversations, to anyone who doesn't see you. And the relationships you do form? They go deeper, faster, because you know what real connection actually feels like now. Third, you discover a kind of inner strength you didn't know existed. There's this bone-deep knowing, if I survive that, I can survive anything. It's not arrogance. It's evidence. Fourth, new possibilities start opening up. Doors you never even noticed before suddenly become visible, because your entire perspective shifted. Fifth, your belief system evolves. Your values become crystal clear. What actually matters becomes so obvious you can't believe you ever wasted time on anything else. But here's the deeply human part of all this, not everyone experiences this. And that's completely okay, there's no moral hierarchy here. Some people heal by simply returning to stability, and that's beautiful. Some people remain broken in ways that matter, and they're still worthy of love and respect. The journey isn't linear. And it's definitely not guaranteed, and if you're sitting here thinking, but I don't feel transformed. I still have panic attacks when someone raises their voice. I still flinch when I hear footsteps in a certain way. Yeah. That's the point, transformation doesn't mean the trauma disappears. It means you're learning to carry it differently, so what actually helps people move from just surviving to transforming, because this isn't random. The people who make it out and rebuild something meaningful, they share certain things. And it has nothing to do with being strong in the way we usually think about strength. First, they get exhausted. Not dramatic, not loud, just a bone-deep, cellular exhaustion with being treated poorly. There's this moment, and if you've been there you know exactly what I'm talking about, where something inside you just clicks. The cost of staying becomes undeniable. Not because someone convinced you. Because your body decided for you. Second, they establish boundaries. Not because they read it in a self-help book and thought it sounded nice. Because their nervous system literally demands it. Boundaries stop being self-improvement and become healthcare. They become survival. Third, they seek support. Therapy. Support groups. Even just one solid friend who validates your reality and doesn't tell you to just get over it. The research is very clear on this, these aren't luxuries. They're the actual difference between staying stuck in trauma and moving toward growth. Recent studies found something else fascinating. Survivors who make it through develop what researchers call deliberate rumination. That means actively processing what happened rather than letting it passively haunt you. There's a difference. Intrusive rumination is when trauma thoughts invade your mind uninvited and you spiral. That keeps you stuck, but deliberate rumination is sitting down and consciously working through what happened, making sense of it, integrating it into your story. That actually facilitates growth. It's the difference between being haunted and doing the haunting yourself. So here's what I need you to understand about all of this. You're not broken for having been affected. Your anxiety. Your trust issues. Your hypervigilance. The way you scan every room looking for exits. The way you analyze every text message for hidden meaning. These aren't flaws. They're evidence that your brain did exactly what it was supposed to do. It protected you, and if you've started noticing changes, that you're pickier about who gets your time now, that you can spot red flags from a mile away, that you value peace more than excitement, that's not damage, that's wisdom, and your nervous system paid a very high price for it. The research on toxic relationships is very clear. They leave marks. Real ones, but those marks don't define your entire story. For many survivors, those marks become maps. They show you where you've been, and more importantly, where you absolutely refuse to go again. And that knowledge, that visceral understanding of what you will and won't accept, that's power. Here's what gets me about the research on post-traumatic growth. It's not glorifying suffering. It's not saying you needed to go through hell to become a better person. It's simply acknowledging that humans are astonishingly adaptive. We're meaning-making machines. And sometimes when everything falls apart, when there's nothing left of who we thought we were, we find ways to build something that actually fits who we really are, not the version we were told to be. Not the version that kept the peace, the real version. Not everyone gets there. The timeline is different for everyone. Some people transform in months. Some people take years. Some people never do, and that doesn't make them less than, and you don't owe anyone a growth narrative from your trauma. You don't owe anyone a silver lining, but if you've survived a toxic person and you're still here, still trying, still rebuilding your sense of self one boundary at a time, that's not just survival. That's transformation happening in real time. Your brain is literally rewiring itself. New neural pathways are forming. Your perspective is shifting in ways you might not even notice yet. You're becoming someone who knows the difference between connection and control, between love and manipulation, between someone who wants you and someone who wants to own you. The psychology of surviving toxic people isn't about being unbreakable, it's about discovering that when you do break, you get to choose how you put yourself back together. And sometimes, those repaired places, the cracks that got filled back in, they become the strongest parts of who you are. That's not a fairy tale. That's actual neuroscience. Your brain is plastic. It adapts. It changes. It rebuilds, and that process is happening inside you right now, whether you feel it or not. If any of this resonated with you, if you're someone who wants to understand human behavior without all the academic jargon and the nonsense, subscribe to this channel. We break down psychology in ways that actually make sense. And if you want to go deeper, consider becoming a channel member. Either way, you're not alone in this, and you're not broken, you're rebuilding, and that's everything.